Usually we do this in a pitch black room, but we thought this would be a much more dramatic landscape. So thank you so much to USC Roski for hosting us. I'm gonna give you some instructions and then we'll get into the details. So please everyone, take out your phone. Unfortunately, Callie wanted everyone to take photos, but you will not be able to because I'm gonna hijack all of your phones and force you to use the same app. So please take out your phone. You're gonna open up Instagram. If you don't have Instagram, please buddy up with someone that does. You're gonna put your phone on Do Not Disturb, which is different from airplane mode. So please put it on Do Not Disturb. I need to do that too. You're gonna turn up your phone brightness all the way. If you need tech support, let me know. So at this point, your phone is out. You're on Do Not Disturb. Your phone brightness is all the way up. You're going to open up Instagram and go to the account sextech_V4, as in version 4. Sextech_V4. So because I'm prototyping in public, we're versioning. So if you want to see previous versions, you can go to Sextech V3, V2, V1. I basically parked them all up to like V10. But today, Sextech_V4. You good? Mm-hmm. Anyone else need tech support? All right. Anyone else need help? So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna count down from 10. And when I say click, not one, but click, you're gonna click that first Instagram story highlight that says intro. 10, 9, 8. If you need tech support, please tell me now. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Once again, we're starting on click, not one. 3, 2, oh wait, I'm sorry. I forgot to say one thing. You have to turn your sound on. I think I might say this in the thing, but this is why we're testing in public. So turn your sound all the way up. Okay. 3, 2, 1, click. Warning, the following stories include explicit references to sex and sexual assault. Please turn on your sound. This will be an exercise in restraint. Please do not touch your screen unless told to do so. All of these channels can be found in my Arena channel, all these references. In our lecture performance studio course at Yale School of Art, Julio Correa experimented with an Instagram stories as lecture format. I adapted this format for today's lecture. Thank you, Julio, for your collaboration. Thank you also to USC Roski and Callie for the invitation, and also Ken, Akko, and Mankun for facilitating. Thank you all for being part of our little experiment. I'm going to assign everyone a color. If you were born in January, February, March, your color is red. If you were born in April, May, or June, your color is green. If you were born in July or August, your color is blue. If you were born in September or October, your color is cyan. And if you were born in November or December, your color is magenta. Some stories have that color as the background. If you see a story with your color, read the text aloud. Let's practice.
comfortable.
Some speak loudly, and others speak softly.
I will read the text on black backgrounds, and most of the text will be read by me.
But I will be ready to read when my color appears. Some texts are short.
For the next 30 minutes.
I will follow the rules of this bounded time.
Ready? Let's begin. Chapter 1, You're Holding a Teledildonic. I was having drinks with Melanie Hoff, an artist and sex cyberneticist, and they casually referred to the phone as a sex toy. A click or swipe on the screen accesses desire. On our phones, we sext, we send nudes. Apps scan our environments for erotic encounters. Our phones respond to our touch. It's pressure sensitive. It vibrates. In 1974, Ted Nelson coined dildonic in Computer Lib Dream Machine. On page DM9, a small column entitled Psychoacoustic Dildonics reviewed the sonic stimulator by How Walks Press. This device turned sound as audio signals into physical sensations. Howard Rheingold learns about Walkspress's device through Computer Lib Dream Machine and coins teledildonic in 1990.
At a distance,
Virtual reality technology and telecommunication that you'll be able to reach out and touch someone.
You will be able to reach out and touch someone. One body channeling another through digital stimulation. I later learned that digital stimulation is the clinical term for fingering. Your fingers, your digits, are an important instrument of sex, in person or on device. Different parts of my body are scattered across apps and devices. YouTube has my voice. TSA has my eyes. The health app logs my heartbeat. You'll find my face, my limbs on the app you're viewing now. Howard Rheingold was a technological theorist who coined many terms, including virtual community and social web. Ted Nelson is the father of the concept of hypertext. He refers to this in this review.
Hyperreality is where he says it gets you. Point here. The author's own notions of hypertext and hypermedia as extensions of mental life.
When I first met Ted Nelson, I was thrilled. He was an icon. Shortly into our conversation, he said, I was in my 20s and he was in his 70s. A collision of techno development and desire. Chapter 2, The Computer Mouse as Vulva. Before we pressed a touchscreen, we clicked a computer mouse. In Ali Na's The Fetish of the Click, A Small History of the Computer Mouse as Vulva, the computer mouse is reframed as a fetish object. The etymological origins of fetish, noted by William Pietz, revolves around tangibility. Here we have tangibility in two forms. One, as an object of touch, as well as, two, the ability to enact change. In our phallocentric techno-history, we jack in. By the 1940s, we had the light gun. The light gun was the first direct input device, created for the military by the Whirlwind and Sage projects at MIT in the 1940s. The joystick was patented by Carlos Miric in 1926. As an undergrad, Ali observed her professor use a joystick instead of a mouse. In 2024, I witnessed the joystick as phallus performed by Levi Liu. The shift to the computer mouse created a new way to think, as described by its inventor, Douglas Engelbart.
So we've seen how we can start with a blank piece of paper and go to developing a file. This file is one statement with a few words in it. Let's make more statements. I'll say copy that statement, and lo and behold, I have another one. Copy that one. Another one. I can even copy groups of statements. I can say after that one, copy the group from there to there. And it does. I can look at that and say, probably goes off the screen. It'd be interesting if I could ask the computer to collapse that, perhaps to show me just the first line of each of those statements. All right, please do that. So it did. This is one aspect of what we'll use over and over again through this presentation of what we call view control, where no matter where on the file we're looking, we can ask it to use any one of a large number of parameters for constructing a view at that point in the file that best suits our need at the time. This one wants us to give an overview of the thing.
The break between the light and the computer mouse.
The light pen and the computer mouse is a break in time. They are different objects and functions.
However, the break between the computer mouse and the touch pad is different.
It's simply about giving the same modalities and describing how that
Sexual and ionic metaphors have long existed in computing.
Are the virus of any world disorder, rupturing the symbolic from within saboteurs of Big Daddy mainframe. The clitoris is the direct line to the matrix, the Venus matrix. terminators of the moral code, mercenaries of slime. Go down on the altar of abjection, breaking the visceral temple. We speak in tongues. Irritating, disrupting, disseminating, corrupting the discourse. We are the future cult.
It's 1991. I am born in May. VNS Matrix coins cyberfeminism, and a few months later, in August, the World Wide Web is released outside CERN with the very first website, info.cern.ch. Cyberfeminism injected the cold, sterile, militaristic internet with the slimy viscera of the body. From hardware to wetware. An interlude, Our Bodies, a Territory. In 1989, the World Wide Web was invented at CERN by Sir Tim Berners-Lee. Nearly a decade later, in 1998, the full anatomy of the clitoris was discovered. The fallopian tubes after Gabrielle Fallopio, the Graafian follicle after Renier de Graaf, the pouch of Douglas after James Douglas, the Kegel muscles after Arnold Kegel, the G-spot after Ernst Grafenberg, and the Skene's gland after Alexander Skene. Alexander Skene collaborated with J. Marion Sims, who performed gynecological experiments and surgeries on enslaved women without anesthesia. 3 of these women were named Anarcha, Lucy, and Betsy. The Catalan collective Gynepunk call themselves the cyborg witches of DIY gynecology and fight to decolonize the female body and repair this history. Gynpunk's manifesto Decolonizar calls to rename Skene's gland as Anarcha's gland.
Sick of this body colonialism. I don't want to call it gland. I think
discovered some part of my body. Anarcha was a black slave that suffered in her own flesh. The experimentation of the sadist idol of Skene Sim.
known anarchist gland.
J. Marion Sims is also the inventor of the speculum. Gynpunk inspired the Hactoria network to democratize gynecological exams and make these tools accessible for lower costs. Urs Gaudens, member of Hactoria, created a 3D printable speculum that is free to download. As of 2015, 85% of gynecologists are women, and Sims is still considered the father of modern gynecology. Chapter 3: The Internet was built on sex. When we hear about sex on the internet, it often involves jokes and theft. The first ARPANET was a Sigma 7 computer that ran the SEX operating system, shorthand for SET-X. The first ASCII nude was a prank. In 1966, Bell Labs engineer Ken Knowlton and Leon Harmon hung a 12-foot-long computer-generated mosaic of a nude woman on the wall of their boss's office as a joke. Later, Robert Rauschenberg displayed it during a Bell Labs event. From there, it ended up printed in the New York Times on October 11, 1967, for a story about avant-garde art and technology. Some of the first pornography on the internet was drawn with ASCII. Prior to ASCII, text-based erotica was first likely sent through teletext, a pre-internet technology from the 1970s for sending text to televisions. In 1972, Lena Forson was the centerfold of Playboy's November issue. It was her first and last nude image. Alexander Sawchuk and his team at USC's Signal and Image Processing Institute used her image to test their latest compression algorithm. It became the standard, reanalyzed billions of times. This stolen image developed what we now know as the JPEG. For Chang, the moment that Lena's centerfold was torn and scanned marked tech's original sin. Many journals and institutions now outright ban submissions that feature Lena. I first stumbled upon porn in the 90s on my family's shared computer, a blue iMac G3. Sex worker and educator Cinnamon Love describes how early porn sites used black backgrounds so less transmissive light would be cast on the viewer. Years later, I came across Christina Wong's Big Bad Chinese Mama.
Whatever you had imagined in your mind was you may have switched over to the Asian porn site, but never in your wildest culturally commodifying sick sexual desires.
Would my erotic life have changed if this was the first porn site that I had seen? Chapter 4, the internet was built by sex workers. I think my mic died.
Sex workers are the canary.
The internet as we know it was built on the back of sex work. Contemporary accounts of the internet's origins overwrite stigmatized workers. What made it desirable?
I think my mic died. So why isn't this part of techno history? While its importance is evident in primary sources and oral histories, it's otherwise hard to prove. Livia Folds and Gabriela Garcia co-founded Decoding Stigma, a cross-institutional coalition that wants to compel conversations about sex and sex work at the tech school. Livia Folds also created the website Sex Workers Built the Internet, which gathers urgent scholarship that revises our history of the internet. It grew out of the 2021 educational series Trains, Techs, and Tits, Sex Work, Technology, and Movement. The series was organized by Hacking Hustling, a collective of sex workers, survivors, and accomplices that interrupts violence facilitated by technology. With the emergence of personal computing in the 90s, some sex workers moved online.
Early Usenet conversations about sex work and in sex work specific Usenet groups. Alt sex prostitution was probably the biggest one of those. And then later we get into this era of personal websites. You know, porn performers are certainly at the vanguard of that.
One of the first sex work websites was by Carol Leigh. Carol Leigh also coined the term sex work. Social sites like StripperWeb, Hornet, and MyRedBook act as digital black books for sex workers to offer tips of the trade and safety tools.
Sex workers, we understood intuitively from the beginning of social media, maybe even from the beginning of the internet, that like the reason to be online is to sell something.
As bandwidth gets better, we see the rise of camming and liveness.
Models moved online, the webmaster industry began to boom, offering porn performers with a high earning potential, the ability to have someone not only custom build a website, but also update and manage it as well, and also cover the cost of the really outlandish website hosting fees, and then cutting the model a check by paying, by taking a percentage of the fees. So when I think about that, I think about sites like OnlyFans and all of these other current existing platforms that we use. This idea of another company taking on these fees is nothing, and charging the model for the fees is nothing new. It's something that we've been experiencing since the beginning of time, since the beginning of the internet.
In 1996, the Communications and Decency Act stated that internet platforms were not liable for what is posted on their platform. This was overhauled with FOSTA SESTA in 2018. Intended to halt child sex trafficking, it also endangered sex workers by eradicating the online infrastructure of their labor.
Whenever we lose access to internet spaces, that would be a devastating impact.
With ongoing rug pulling, sex workers continue to innovate and test alternate channels, expending their pussy capital. Chapter 5, last chapter, pussy capital. Pussy capital comes in many forms like cash, crypto, and data. Liara Rue coins pussy capital in their eponymous essay for eFlux. In it, they map an anecdotal hot girl industry impacted by AI. Mackenzie Wark's A Hacker Manifesto introduces a new class struggle, the hacker and the victorialist. The victorialist views data as free and exploitable information to be mined. The delegation of erotic labor has risen with the insatiable desire to engage with performers, artificial or human. With sites like OnlyFans, clients have unprecedented access to content creators who began outsourcing the labor of chatting with these eager consumers to assistants. Apps like Replica were initially framed as your AI girlfriend, though it's now marketed as an AI friend. Unlike other politically correct LLMs, with Replica, you could sext. As AI models become more sophisticated, people artificially generate models, content, selfies, and videos. Do we still need real hot girls to get a bite of this lucrative industry? What might consent look like amidst the harmful proliferation of deepfakes? Sarah Friend sold 69 prompts in 16 seconds. Using an AI model trained on images of Sarah, a collector could submit a prompt. They can request any kind. Sarah can then accept, reject, or request changes to the prompt. With this speculative project shows the potential for a collaboration with a client, sex workers often experience many forms of financial discrimination. Their images are stolen, they're pushed off platforms. Due to puritanical regulation from credit card processors and banks, purchasing adult content has always been strained. High-risk hustling details this financial discrimination that stems from classist, racist, transphobic, and whorephobic laws, automated risk assessments, and privatization of financial infrastructure. Banned from banks, some sex workers moved to cryptocurrency. From Titcoin to Nafty, a key adult cryptocurrency is SpankChain. According to Ezra Paget, a linguistic anthropologist who focuses on sex work and the semiotics of transaction, sex workers have been using cryptocurrencies before it was in the public consciousness. During a phone call with Ezra, I learned that sex workers like Allie Eve Knox guided Spank Chain's evolution so adult entertainers could find privacy and security, and most importantly, self-sovereignty. They would no longer be reliant on credit card giants or mainstream payment processors. From personal websites to online communities, cryptocurrencies to AI, the internet has been built on the back of unattributed sex workers. Within those constraints, some change the rules to play with power. I first learned about data domination in 2019, a year before we were pushed online. Data domination, a child of BDSM and sister to Findom, was developed by Mistress Harley, a former IT professional turned dominatrix. Here, her sub grants remote access so she can control their machine. She moves their mouse. She accesses their bank accounts. She sees their hidden folders. This would cross my mind when, in a Zoom room of 20 undergraduates, I would help a student by requesting remote access, editing their CSS and VS Code, while the other students watched. 1 degree from tech support is a power play. For the last 30 minutes, you've let me control your phone through the appendage of Instagram stories. You chose to follow my rules. So in my last few moments of power, do the following. Donate to the Red Umbrella. Open your AirDrop settings to everyone so I can infiltrate your phone. And share a story from this performance to your personal profile so you can infiltrate the phones of others. Thank you so much.